Christian, please tell us when and how did you decide to be a free diver?
I was 6 years old. At that time I get from my uncle a present at Christmas because he was a diver, and I get my first snorkel, my mask and my fins. And then I start to go snorkeling with 6 years, and with 10 years I start scuba diving. I was just swimming in a swimming pool from my parents, and then I make all the diving courses for scuba diving. I'm also a scuba diving instructor. And when I was 17 years old, I saw the movie The Big Blue, Le Grand Bleu. It's from Luc Besson. It's a really famous movie for divers. It's with Jean Reno, and you can see two free divers making world records. And in the beginning of this movie, you see them as a child snorkeling. And when I saw this movie, I say, hey, I did the same when I was a child. And how cool is that? You can make world records. So let's start freediving. So with 17 years, I start freediving. I make many competitions. At the time, I was in world championships and stuff like this. And 2003, I was making my first world record, and since 7 years I'm a professional freediver.
Okay, this is about diving, free diving. And why did you come to the idea to dive on the ice?
Yeah. The funny thing was, in this movie, the famous actor Jean Reno was diving under ice. And in 2002 I was planning just to dive under ice for fun. And at that time I found the Guinness Book, the first time in my life, and I wrote in the Guinness Book about the world record in diving under ice from an Italian freediver. And I was thinking maybe I can try to break this world record. And this was the start of my story from the Iceman, because the problem is I tried to make also other records, but the media was not really interesting in normal records, which you can do in freediving. Normally you go in the swimming pool, but I realized really soon that nobody is interested in that someone is holding the breath in the swimming pool. And when you dive under ice, you can tell much more stories. So this was much more interesting for the medias, and when you want to be a professional freediver, you need the medias. If you have the medias, you have the sponsors, and that's how it's working. So I decided not to make any record in a normal freediving discipline. I was always focused on something special. And then after my fourth world record under ice, they came up with the name Iceman. And yeah, I was never changing the elements.
Isn't it dangerous because the water is so cold?
It's not about the danger, because you know, I train very well. I prepare myself over 6 months. I have safety divers in the water. I have a doctor on the surface. It's not about the risk or something like this. It's more about the mental thing, because if you dive in the swimming pool, you can go up every meter. When you dive under ice, you have 2 holes, and you go in one hole and you have to come to the other one so that you come back to the surface. So you have just a small rope connecting both holes, and when you dive, you know you cannot go up to the surface. So you have to be 100% sure that your body and your mind is able to do this dive. If not, you don't need to try it. And the second problem is the water temperature of 2 degrees. Normally the cold water helps you to stay a little bit longer underwater, because all the body functions get freezed. And this helps us a lot, because normally the heart rate goes much more down than in the warm water. The problem is, when you start to get freezing, you need a lot of energy in your body, because the body temperature goes down, and if it's too low, you can die. So the body needs a lot of energy to heat himself, and that's the most problem. So you have just 2 or 3 minutes, and then you have to dive. And normally when you go diving, you need a couple of minutes in the water to get down and to prepare the body to do the dives. This is not possible under ice. So these are the 2 challenges. The first one is the mental, thing, that you cannot go every time to the surface, and the second one is that the preparation is really short of concerning the cold water.
How do you prepare for these very dangerous, I think, things?
Normally I train 6 months for a record. The training is swimming, bicycling, and also the diving. The temperature and the mental thing you cannot train. That's the main problem, because in summer times or in the winter times I just train in the swimming pool, so there is no ice. And what I do is 5 or 6 days before the record attempt happens, I go to the lake and I train under the real conditions. So in these 5 days, this is the most important part of the training, because then you have to be really concentrated and focused on the world record, because I just can't train in the real conditions in 4 or 5 days. This is the main problem, because the normal training is just in the swimming pool.
When you made this record in Himalayas,
yes,
what was the most difficult thing to do?
The high. The problem is really I was never in the mountains. I mean, I live in Austria, we have a lot of mountains, I was never there, also not as a child, and I was just thinking I want to make the highest freediving world record ever. And the Guinness Book say, okay, it's no problem, you have to go to a lake over 5,000 meters. We found them in Nepal, and then we start the training. The highest point I was going for the training was 2,200 meters, which is nothing. Because the program started 3,500 meters high and I was never there. So I had so many stories from different people. They say, oh my God, you will die, it's not possible. And also the doctors say it's not possible, because the problem is now, if we go from that second to another second in a high of 5,000 meters, we had all a blackout, because the oxygen in the air is just 14%. Now we have 21. With 14, you are not able to leave. So you have to go really slow in 12 days to that high, so that the body can make an...
get used.
Yes, exactly. So that it's used to have just 40% of oxygen in the air. And the main problem was, normally the thing what can happen is that they have a blackout. So this means I stayed too long underwater, my oxygen level in the body is too less, and I have the blackout. This is the most dangerous thing. Normally, when I do it now in Basel, it's no problem. There I'm a safety diver, they put out my face of the water and you start immediately to breathe by yourself. But you need 21% of oxygen. In the mountains, if I have a blackout, my body cannot reactivate himself. So we need the medicine and all this stuff, the oxygen tanks and all this stuff, and that at 5,000 meters high. So this was the main risk of this project, because we have to avoid the blackout. And the problem was, nobody can tell me when it happened or how it happened, because during the difference between in my body, because when you go in the mountains, your heart rate is higher, your blood is thicker, your breathing is faster. These three things is the opposite of the freediving, because I try to breathe really slow. My heart rate should be go down to 30 per minute, so it's really, really slow. And that in the mountains I had 140, so my heart was really, really fast. And that was the problem, that nobody can tell me how long I can stay underwater without having a blackout. So this time I was a little bit nervous, because no one tried this before. And if you know that nobody tried before and you have no experience, you don't know what will happen, this was a little bit scary at the first time. And that was also the reason why I just made 2 dives. The longest was 2 minutes, which was 1 minute more than the doctors was thinking would be able.
You took the risk?
A little bit, yes. Because after 1 minute 30, I feel that my brain is getting bigger and bigger, and Also, the oxygen level was really, really low at that moment, and I think it was really the last second. I go really to the last second. So when I stay a couple of seconds longer, I think it would be really dangerous after that.
So you do have these divers for safety?
Yes,
safety
always.
And they've been there with you?
Yes, I have always safety divers, and I have always a doctor which can help me. Because the problem is, if you have a problem, you cannot do anything by yourself. You have a blackout, and if there is no one to bring you to the surface, you have really, really big problems. So that's the reason why I have also in the training, during the record attempts, always safety divers and medicine with me.
Okay, let's talk about Edox.
This is the funny story. This was really funny.
Tell us, when do you get in touch and how it happened?
This was really, really funny because I was always a big fan of Edox, because I really like to be on the water, and I like also the motorboats, the fast ones, and I really love the Class 1.
Oh, I see.
And I know that Edox was a sponsor of Class 1. And the funny story was this: it was 3 years ago. I was invited to Dubai to see the Class 1 final race. And 3 years ago was the big accident of the Team Victory, where the two drivers died. And I was arriving on Friday night, and on Friday was the accident, and so they cancelled the final race for Saturday, and everybody was really sad because they was close friend and everything. And they took me from the airport to the hotel where everybody was living, and we was going to the bar in the hotel to have some drinks and to make some plans what we can do for the next days and what we want to see. And at that hotel bar I meet Christian Redl the first time, and he was talking, and it was really funny with him, and then he was telling me he is working for Edox. And I said, oh, Edox, it was nice to know someone of this company, because I really loved the watch at that time already. And then I was talking about my records, because I was always hoping to have a watch sponsor, because freediving is always connected to the time. How long you are underwater, how long you can stay underwater, it's always connected to time. So it was always a dream of myself to have a watch sponsor. Not only a diving equipment sponsor, also a watch sponsor. And I was telling about my records on the ice. And after a couple of minutes, Christian was telling me that he was sitting with his daughter in front of the TV at home, and he was watching a movie about ice sharks. And his daughter said, "Look, Daddy, ice shark, ice shark." And that was the idea, to make a watch with the name Ice Shark. And in my brain, after the story, I see everything clear. Ice record, Ice Shark watch, and I was saying, okay, this must be a sign. And he was talking, I think, 3 or 4 hours. It was already 3 or 4 in the morning. And Christian was telling me, Christian, listen, I'm really tired, I have to go to bed now, but I promise we will do something together. And then he left. Then, this was in December. And he was telling me he's now really busy, because in March is the Basel show, and after the Basel show he will call me, and then we can talk about sponsorship. It was April, nothing. It was May, nothing. I was thinking, oh my god, he forgot everything or something like this, or maybe he lose my business card, I have no idea. I called him. It was mid of May. I called Christian and said, yeah, Christian, do you remember we meet in Dubai, I'm the ice diver. Oh yes, sorry, I forgot you, but don't worry, we have the own watch for you. We make not the Ice Shark for you, we make the Iceman special edition. And this was a really amazing moment for me, because everything I ever want to have can be true. And since this time we work together, and it's really great to be in the Edox family.
What does it really mean to be a sponsor for them, a sponsor Iceman?
I think that the really important thing is to have someone who is really authentic. So Breitling was also asking me before Edox to become an ambassador for Breitling, because they also have the watches for diving. And I was telling them, listen, you are not for me a diving watch, you are for me for the airplanes. You are in the aviation and not in the diving industry. And this was the reason why I say to Breitling no. Everybody was saying at that time, are you crazy, you cannot say no to a sponsor? And I said no, because when I wear a watch, I need to identify myself with this watch. And this is really important, so I really have to like the watch. And this is also important for the sponsor, that he knows that I really live my life in love with the watch. And this, I think this was really important also for Edox. So this is not just only a watch because I can also be an Omega or whatever. For me this is much more, and the really important thing for me is also that they don't give me just a watch like an Iceman. They make a special watch for myself.
So they understand you.
And so it's not like business, it's much more than business. So when I say I want to do this and I have this idea, no problem, we can do it, and so I have also my ideas in the watch. And
so you participate in
yes. Because this is also important for me to say, okay, I like this, I like that, because in the Iceman 1, my fins are from carbon fiber. So the Iceman 1, the blade was carbon fiber.
You have Edox under the water with you?
Yeah, every time. This watch is 24 hours on my hand.
Yeah.
And also in the water, under their eyes, everywhere. And this is also important for Edox, that they can see that this watch is really working in the hard conditions. I have also this watch all 3 weeks in Nepal, also in the mountain.
Okay, thank you very much. It was very interesting.